A handful of big businesses are paying back JobKeeper payments after a bumper earnings season. Toyota set the stage with an $18 million return, while Super Retail Group refunded $1.7 million. So if you don't need a government handout, should you be paying it back? Here to explain is finance expert Michelle Maynard. Good afternoon, Michelle.
Afternoon, Mon.
How is it that these big businesses were able to receive so much JobKeeper if they were doing so well?
So under the original JobKeeper program, which ran from April to September, you only had to meet the qualifying criteria once, and that was a downturn in your turnover of more than 30%. Now, a lot of Australian businesses qualified for that in that March-April period, but then, as you said, a lot of them have had a really bumper remainder of the year. Australians bought cars and caravans, we spent big online, so they've actually seen a huge upswing in their revenue. But that's not how the JobKeeper program was introduced. It was a one qualifying time, and then you remained $1,500 per employee per fortnight until the end of September. So with thousands of employees, a lot of these large corporations have received millions of dollars. But now they're starting to report their earnings, and people are questioning, should they keep that money if they have had such a great year?
But there isn't a legal obligation for the businesses to pay this money back, is there? But is there a moral one?
That is the million-dollar question. There isn't a legal obligation, and a lot of small businesses did question this with me, saying, if I don't show this downturn continually, will the ATO claw it back? And up until the end of September, that wasn't the case. But there is really this pub test. Should these large corporations effectively be taxpayer funded? I think where it's sort of on the nose is where these corporations are starting to pay out million-dollar bonuses to their CEOs and are starting to pay dividends. This is a $50 billion program, JobKeeper, something that we're going to be paying back for many, many years to come. So people are asking those large corporations, do you have a moral responsibility? Should you be funded by the taxpayer when your earnings have increased?
Definitely a discussion topic to have around the water cooler. JobKeeper has now changed. What do businesses have to do to receive the payment from January to March?
So for January to March, they have to show a retest that they re-meet this qualifying criteria of a downturn of 30% in the December quarter. There are 7 alternative tests if you can't meet that first one, but a lot of businesses, especially in WA, aren't meeting that because they have had an upswing in their revenue, which is great, but it means that they're not getting that government funding anymore. So it is about retesting by the end of January, re-enrolling in the program, and therefore they'll get payments through to the end of March, $1,000 per fortnight for employees who work more than 20 hours, $650 per fortnight for those who worked less.
And Michelle, JobKeeper does end on the 28th of March. There are calls for the government to extend it, especially for sectors that are hard hit like tourism and hospitality. Will they extend it further, do you think?
Scott Morrison is saying a hard flat no, they're not going to extend it, but then he does say they will reassess come the end of March. The JobMaker hiring credit has been introduced as a replacement of JobKeeper, but that's more tailored for employees 16 to 35. So we'll see what happens once the end of March happens and how businesses in Australia go. I think it depends on how COVID goes. If the economy is booming, which we've had a return to a great economy, hopefully no more government funding is needed.
Michelle, we'll leave it there. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Mon.